we'll just wait another minute or two before we begin. Just as a reminder, you can always send us questions via the chat box on the far right that you see. And I see Knoxville is there, so thank you. And I'll be monitoring the questions today for Catherine Harrell, who's going to do the presentation.
Thanks, Yuling.
So, yeah, we're so excited to have everyone here. Just a brief update. Lots of event submissions rolling in. There's Kentucky kicks it off for us next month, and they have more than 60 events. And Knoxville also begins, and their events are rolling in too. So it's really great to see, and that's why we're just going to talk about social media today. So I'm just going to send out a quick message saying so that you see the chat box. Hello. Here, and I'll be monitoring it. Hey, so I think, Catherine, we can go ahead and begin if you're ready. I'll do a quick intro.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah. So again, my name is Yuling Chang, and I'm the Communications Director for Remake Learning Days across America. I want to thank all of you for being on this webinar. I know you are all really busy, and we have a mix of people on this, from marketing people to the event host, to the regional lead team, to local PBS affiliates. So thank you to all of you for everything that you're doing. We appreciate it. I always like to call this the crunch time in the Remake Learning Days calendar. We're starting to be anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks out before the festival begins, depending on which region we're talking about. And so this is really the time to start to focus on social media and marketing and PR. We did do a marketing and PR webinar last month, and you can always find it on our website. And today we're going to focus on social media. I'm excited to introduce Catherine Harrell with the company Marble and Match. We first worked with them last year on social media for Remake Learning Days here in Pittsburgh. And today she is going to present a toolkit that her team has put together for Remake Learning Days across America. We won't get too detailed about some of the nitty-gritty. We'll just talk you through the social media toolkit, but also talk a little bit about hashtags and handles. And the hope is if we're all driving the conversation online together as a national movement, that will then start to attract some national attention from people. So thank you in advance for your help. And I'm just going to turn it over to Catherine. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Yuling. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like Yuling said, we have the privilege of working with Remake Learning Days last year in the West Virginia, Southwestern Pennsylvania region, specifically kind of zeroing in and helping get the word out on social media to help promote all the goodness happening around Remake Learning Days in this region. And so this year, we are honored to kind of step into a bigger role helping to amplify the more national message, national reach. And it's so exciting to see so many other regions getting on board across the nation. It's really inspiring and exciting. So the purpose of this call is just to kind of look through this toolkit, and it will be made available after this call. You guys can access it, really spend time with it, dive deep. And we realize that social media, there's a lot of different platforms for under the umbrella of social media. And we also realize that some people may be signing up for a Facebook, business account for the first time. Other people may be a lot more advanced when it comes to social media advertising and marketing. So everyone is welcome, and no question is silly. Please feel free to jump in and ask at any time. And Yuling, I'm going to keep my screen focused on the toolkit. So if any questions bubble up that you feel we need to just jump in and talk about, please let me know as we're going in.
Okay.
And so as you can see here, just again, we're going to kind of go through this quickly because it is a larger document that does provide deeper dives to people who are interested. But this really can give you a good idea of kind of the big picture goals and how the national accounts can also coincide with your more regional efforts so that, like Yuling said, we can really kind of get some more national attention. Obviously, everyone here knows what Remake Learning Days is. It's exciting that we're all coming together to really push this movement forward and connect with learners of all ages across the nation. And again, just kind of at a broad stroke, taking place starting in April, kind of all the way through May, we have all these different festivals happening across the country and providing these really inspiring hands-on learning moments. So let's just take a look here, starting kind of at the national sweep and then zeroing in on local efforts. So obviously, Remake Learning Days as handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are going to be representing Remake Learning Days kind of at a broader level. So talking really about what is this movement, what is this organization, what does it stand for, how can people get involved, and really highlighting all the different regions who are participating. And right now, Yuling, I think we're up to 9, which is so exciting. And the goal is, as we kind of look ahead beyond this kind of April, May time period into the future, we're hoping that we can show other regions what a great example this can be and how they could get involved. So then kind of zeroing in on the local social efforts, we're hoping that every single region who's participating can really get behind helping to share what's happening in their local regions, and then also tapping into the bigger story that, just because you're participating in your local communities, this is part of a bigger movement across the nation and really, hopefully, eventually the world. So let's just take a look at the different social media accounts. Like we said, we're going to have kind of 2 pieces. The umbrella is Remake Learning Days, which you can see here. These are the national accounts. So we have a presence on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And then we have specific hashtags. And the beauty of hashtags, and we'll get into this a little bit further down in greater detail, but it's a great way for people to search who are interested. They might see this hashtag Remake Learning Days or Remake Days and say, hey, what the heck is this? And they can simply click on that hashtag and then start seeing that conversation taking shape across social channels that use that hashtag. So it's a really fun way for people who are just learning about Remake Learning Days to take a quick glance at all of the different activity and buzz and conversations happening in and around those hashtags. So again, those are the 3 kind of national accounts, national facing. We're going to be posting content on there that we would say is more evergreen. So it's a great way for you guys to grab that content, share it back to your local pages, or use that kind of as a launching point or inspiration for even creating local posts in your local markets. We have a couple of national sponsors, which is amazing. We have PBS Kids and Digital Promise on board to really amplify the message here. So we've included their handles as well.
And just to clarify, there are national partners, PBS Kids and Digital Promise. And the other thing I wanted to add was, Catherine, your team is also monitoring what happens in other regions. And so when appropriate, we'll be resharing to the national account.
Exactly. So then you can see here all of the different regional accounts currently kind of signed up and active, and then their respective date windows of where they're really going to be having their focused Remake Learning Days events in their local communities. So it's also really fun to see, especially if you're new to social media, you could pop in and check on other markets and regions, see what they're doing, how they're talking about their local events. If you're, feeling excited and inspired, you could even share select posts from your different regional accounts to your pages and kind of cheer them on, or again, talk about how you're part of this bigger, really national movement around Remake Learning Days. And so as you guys take a look, obviously you're going to be in communication with Yuling and Dory. We included our information in this deck as well. But if any of this changes or you decide to add different accounts as time goes on, just let us know. We can always refresh this. But again, it's a great little cheat sheet of everyone kind of included and their different handles, and then hashtags specific to your region. So make sure that when you're posting about Remake Learning Days, specific content on your social feeds, to include your regional hashtag as well as our national hashtags. And then, like I said, here we have our email address, rld@marbleandmatch.com. If there's something specific that you would really love to bubble up to the national feeds, I mean, we're going to be monitoring, but, sometimes things might slip through if we don't see it posted at the minute it's posted. So if there's something really special that you want to make sure that we are talking about or amplifying for you, just shoot us a quick email, your name, the site location that you're working with, and then just a couple bullets if you're sending us a photo or video, and then we can make sure to push a post up for you. And then we just included some different ideas, because sometimes when we're working with different groups, It can feel a little overwhelming where you're trying to kind of rack your brain to think of, well, what can we post about? How can we get people excited? So we just generated some post ideas, especially based on our experience last year and here's just a couple examples of some different posts that we produced. But kind of the logistical posts, kind of that who, what, where, when, around your events. So thinking really practically about posts where if you are a parent or family and you're looking to get your children involved in something around Remake Learning Days or a local event, just be sure to provide that really practical information out there. And then we have neighborhood shout outs. Here's an example of one neighborhood shout out we did for an area called the Hill District. So especially in the southwestern Pennsylvania, West Virginia region, I'm sure in every market, we have so many great neighborhoods that have unique characteristics and just events happening in each community, each pocket of the city. And so we focused in on events specific to these neighborhoods. And again, it's just a fun way to kind of break up the different events and spotlight different communities. Obviously, thanking the sponsors is greatly appreciated. Because of them, it really allows us to make this all happen. Their funding and their support is greatly appreciated. So it's nice to show them some love too and tag them where it makes sense. And it allows them to see the activity and for them to get excited on all the movement and traction we're getting with Remake Learning Days. So you can see here, we spotlighted the national sponsor and then obviously the presenting sponsors and included websites and hashtags or handles where we could as well. Recognizing strategic partners is great. So, anyone from event hosts and marketing partners to any regional team leaders, it's always fun, again, to tap into their social media handles, tag them, show them that love that inspires them to share it with their communities and networks. So it just helps to kind of organically amplify the message. Just a post about Remake Learning Days as a national movement, just what is Remake Learning Days and how people can get involved. Directing them back to the website is great. Resharing content is a really easy way. Pop on our social media feeds for Remake Learning Days across all channels, and you can easily just click that share button and then share it to your local pages as well. Something else that's fun too, you can actually search by, if you have a bricks and mortar location, you can do a location search, you can search by your hashtag, and even see what the community is posting, especially while your events are happening. It's always fun to see what kind of user-generated content is bubbling up. And we always try and share kind of our favorites. And it gets the community excited that you're paying attention to their social sharing as well, and they feel like they're part of the bigger conversation. And team spotlights are fun too, kind of a get to know with little mini interviews. You could do a little video, an Instagram story, even just a nice headshot of kind of those key members that are really helping Remake Learning Days come alive in your market. This should look familiar to you guys, highlighting the learning themes, and obviously you can pull this from the Remake Learning Days website, and then we've pulled it in here as well, but just kind of those, the broader areas that Remake Learning Days really tries to focus on, from arts and maker to youth voices and technology. So coming up with posts that even fit into these different categories is also fun and inspiring. Talking about different events that you have going on that might fit into these categories, it can get learners and families really excited. Depending on how comfortable you are with social media, some people feel more comfortable posting right in the platforms themselves. I'm actually one of those people. As much publishing as we do across social channels, we find that just publishing right in the platforms themselves is kind of optimal for us, but it depends what works for you and your schedule and the staff that you might have available. So there are some other really, really helpful social media publishing tools, and we've listed a few. There often are free versions or nonprofit versions available: Hootsuite, Sprout Social, Buffer. There are others, but these are 3 really popular ones. So we recommend just checking them out. There are scheduling tools where you could sit really in one sitting a couple of hours. You could build your entire month of posts if you wanted to. Just so that you have a really good understanding of what you're going to be talking about, make sure you're covering all the key dates and events and you're not missing any opportunities to share information or time-sensitive information. these scheduling tools and kind of editorial calendars are really helpful for that, if that's your style. So something else, Yuling and I talked, and she's going to be providing a Google Drive link. And basically, if you're not familiar with Google Drive, it's a really great sharing folder. Basically, it's a folder system where you can share across networks, and Yuling can easily pop something into a folder specific to your region, and then you can easily access that folder of all sorts of helpful materials at any given time. It's kind of a shared document space. And so in this folder, and I think Yuling's still pulling it together, but we have sample artwork. We're going to be coming up with some sample Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram posts that you guys can easily just copy and paste in, or just to inspire you to write your own content. This social media toolkit you'll find in there, any regional specific materials that have been customized for you, the PR templates, the logos for Remake Learning Days, and then your specific communities, and then any other extra marketing materials like flyers, digital banner ads, posters, etc. So that will be very helpful and kind of a one-stop shop.
Just to pipe in, so I did put the link in the chat box, but it's also the same link that Dory sent out, inviting all of you to the webinar. And we'll just continually put things in there. As press release templates are done by region, I'll be adding that information there too. Any region-specific materials will go into region-specific folders, and then things that apply to any region, such as the Remake Learning Days Across America logo or the social media toolkit, that'll go into a folder that everyone can use as needed. So if you see something missing, or if you have something you want to contribute to folders, just shoot me an email, and I'm happy to add things or look at it. It is a work in progress, so we started updating it last week, and I'll continue doing that through this week. Thank you.
Yeah. So just when we're posting on social media, it's always great to step back. We're all so focused and probably in planning mode with all of our different community events. So it's always nice to take a quick step back and just really understand who we're trying to connect with on social media. And so when we think about our attendees, really thinking about its youth of all ages, so that pre-K through high school, their families, caregivers, educators. So, you know, when you're thinking of content and tone and just connecting, you just want to keep that in mind of who you're talking to and how you're trying to connect with them. Something else too here that I did not include, but just something to call out. It's always great too when you're thinking of content, photographs, all that good stuff, that you're really thinking of diversity. So making sure that you're really accurately representing the people that we're serving, the people we're reaching, whether it's diversity of race, of age, you're featuring young kids all the way through maybe just people in different stages of life. So just keep that in mind. It's always great. Once you're kind of in the zone and taking photographs, it's great to step back and make sure that you're grabbing a lot of diverse shots as well to be inclusive. So we included this section, additional tips, and we don't have to go through all of these just for the sake of time, but we do have just kind of some key tips by platform, everything from kind of character limits and the best ways to use hashtags to just little kind of tips and tricks that we've learned along the way. So take some time with this and just, you know, read through. I think that you'll find them helpful. The same for Facebook and also Instagram here. Kind of the main thing, though, I would say across all social platforms is really make sure that you're including rich content. So images or video, I would include with every tweet, every post. I just think text only, it doesn't get noticed as much. And it's just hard now with organic reach. Most platforms now are requiring you to pay beyond Twitter. I would say Twitter, you can still be tweeting and not having to promote and boost everything. But I would say, especially for Facebook, you know, kind of paying to boost some of your posts to get more eyes on them. Otherwise, the reach is more limited, but it definitely will help to include images or video with all of your social posts across all platforms. So let's talk about tagging and sharing. And you can see here, we we pulled in some recommended hashtags. So tagging is great across platforms. It is a good way to kind of create that ripple effect of pulling in more organic reach. When you're tagging people in posts, I think just, be thoughtful of how you're tagging them. Is it relevant to them? It's also, especially on, Twitter, it's a great way to kind of like raise your hand and say, hey, over here, kind of to tag them and get their attention, whether you're talking to local media or influencers or just other community groups that you think would be interested in hearing about your message and who might be interested in sharing it to their markets as well. On Instagram, also the location tag is great. Even if you're publishing an Instagram story, to use the location tagging, because sometimes people will just search for relevant content by the location they're in. So again, this is kind of an organic way to get more reach and impressions. And then looking at hashtags, again, we talked about hashtags a little earlier on, but basically for people who are new to hashtags, just clicking on a hashtag will allow you to follow a conversation across a social channel, across different accounts, and just see what people are talking about as it relates to a specific hashtag. We did use a tool where we were able to track our hashtag usage from last year from our involvement in the Southwestern Pennsylvania, West Virginia region. And we kind of just bubbled up top engaged hashtags. So you can see here we've broken it out a couple different ways. We have our event hashtags, which we ask you to include in your posts, again, because that will allow us to follow your conversations and then just to amplify the bigger Remake Learning Days conversation. And then national and regional hashtags we talked about a little bit earlier on, but be sure to include your region-specific hashtags in your Remake Learning Days posts. And then we pulled up some of the most engaged hashtags from last year. So engineering, tinkering, family fun, robotics, science, and learn. It's interesting because these are really broad hashtags, which oftentimes, especially on Instagram, you're competing. You're just competing for more eyes on some of these more general words. These were the most popular, but look for ways to kind of mix in maybe smaller audience hashtags, and you might be able to bubble to the top a little bit more. So we put some additional hashtag recommendations in there, like science for kids or family fun day is kind of, those are a little bit more unique where you might have a little bit less competition for those hashtags. And Instagram, when you type in hashtags, will actually kind of show you the audience size or the hashtag size around those keywords. So I would look for a blend of some of the bigger, broader terms, but also mix in smaller markets as well, smaller competition, I should say. And then we have some location-specific hashtags, for example, like Pittsburgh or things to do in Pittsburgh. So pulling in your local community into those hashtags for people searching specifically in your markets. Something to just point out, in the past, Instagram especially is a really big space for hashtags. Facebook, we don't see them as useful. We would love you to include your event hashtags or regional hashtags on the Facebook side. But in terms of people searching for conversations or keywords, we see that less relevant on Facebook, more relevant for Twitter, and then definitely for Instagram. Instagram, we recommend you putting your hashtags in the first comment just to keep your posts clutter-free. It's still a way to pull in the value of a hashtag without kind of cluttering your message in the post itself. Instagram actually allows you to post up to 30 hashtags, but with the latest algorithm change, we're seeing kind of in that like 3 to 5 hashtags. That seems to be the best. And we also recommend not copying and pasting in the same set of hashtags every post. Instagram definitely favors you if you are specific to the content that you're posting. So if you have something about art, coming up with hashtags that are reflective of what is actually in the post itself versus just a copy paste of hashtags. And yeah, here we go. This is what I just talked to you guys about. Same with Twitter. I mean, you can definitely include hashtags in your tweet itself, and then at the end, don't get hashtag crazy. You can't with Twitter because there's only so much space. But again, you don't want to have so many kind of hashtag stuffing where you can't actually get the message or you can't read the post itself. So just be thoughtful of that. Again, just a couple of photography and content tips that we've seen over time that really seem to kind of help. There are kind of things you can do in your phone settings to help with quality. I know this is so silly, but just making sure you have enough room on your phone or that you have an extra booster for charging. There's nothing worse than having a great social media moment during one of your events and realize your phone is out of battery or that you've run out of space, both of which have happened to me, which is why I'm sharing that. So again, just some tips, and then even just phone orientation tips and sizing. Facebook, you can post both square and horizontal on Facebook. Twitter obviously crops into more of a horizontal format. Again, none of this is limiting. You can post images across all platforms, kind of in your preferred size, but there is cropping that happens, so just keep that in mind. And again, just some high-level tips. With natural light is definitely the best when you're taking photographs. So just trying to find natural light or a photo or taking photos outside is great. Keeping in mind the background just to really spotlight your subject. I know it's silly, but just take a second to focus that camera. There's nothing like having a great moment that just is a little bit blurry. So just taking that extra step to focus is key. Here's just some ideas for how to kind of get creative with the photo itself, different angles, wide, medium, and close-up shots, even flat lays, overhead shots are fun. Video tips, again, just trying to stabilize your camera as much as possible just to give the user the best experience and to really enjoy your events. And again, some other fun settings and tips here, from slow motion to time lapse. We included a couple of apps in here. Again, just there are so many apps out there. There are a couple of different platforms that can just make your life easier, especially if you don't have a whole lot of marketing resources. There's a website called Animoto that we like that helps really create nice little social media videos quickly. Cameo by Vimeo is another one. Canva is awesome, canva.com, for really friendly social media layouts, fun social media layouts, just to kind of polish your content a little bit. And last, we have tracking and metrics. So obviously, we love digital marketing because it's so trackable. We can see real time what's happening, who's engaging with what types of content. The tracking and metrics definitely gets into a little bit more of the advanced social side of things. And we could definitely do a very deep dive on analytics and data, but just for the purposes of, I think, the regions and everyone involved, kind of looking at on the back end of any social media advertising you're doing, being able to see the impressions, the reach, the landing page views, the clicks, and the cost per click. And this is if you are going to be investing a little bit of money on the advertising side of social media. And we just popped in some definitions here just to give you guys a better idea of some of the key metrics that we're looking at and the definitions of each. Impressions here, you can see just the number of times your post or ad was shown to people, and sometimes it's multiple times to the same person, so keep that in mind. Reach is more of that unique number, so the unique number of individuals who saw your posts or ads. Landing page views, this is great to send web traffic, but measuring by landing page view really allows us to see how many people spent time on your website or Remake Learning Days. All clicks is just the number of times people were really kind of engaging with your content, kind of showing that intentional engagement. And then that cost per click or cost per action, this just helps us to understand based on the investment, what was that cost per action. So when you're recapping social media, again, we want you guys to be posting and getting the word out. If you are taking advantage of the back end of social media with more advanced advertising capabilities, there are a lot of metrics associated with that. So just be sure to get in touch with Dory and Yuling if you are taking advantage of social media marketing in a deeper way, because those analytics would be great to roll up and to really showcase the national efforts. We're going to be doing that obviously from Remake Learning Days, from kind of that national viewpoint and in support of local markets. But it would just be great to also, report back to our partners and sponsors on just the amazing traction, impressions, and reach that we had collectively as a group. Something here that you can look at The URL is included here, but it's business.facebook.com. It can be a little bit cumbersome, I will tell you, but Facebook can walk you through the steps to set up this business side of your Facebook account, and this is what will allow you to advertise and to have more of that deeper dive in terms of your reach, impressions, and analytics. But again, please be sure to remember to hashtag and tag us in your posts again, so we can on our side track the activity across all regions and kind of bubble that back up at the end, and really can get a good idea of the social media conversations and buzz happening all around Remake Learning Days.
And just to add to that, just going to add to that, so we'll also share what we learn at the end of Remake Learning Days across America with each region. So again, just kind of that's why the hashtag is so important across all the platforms, because we'll be monitoring it and we'll be able to gauge the impressions, and we can send that back to you, and that's something that you can then share as being part of this and reaching so many, hopefully millions of people. And also, if there's any press stories that come out, we'll also be publishing those and tagging each appropriate region. So anything that comes up that you know about that we might not know about, please share with us. I think we all know social media is a big machine, and so it takes a lot of effort to get noticed, but then also to make sure that we get it in front of the right people. One last thing I wanted to add is you'll notice that our audience numbers are growing on the Remake Learning Days across America social media platforms. We're sort of in a transition. For the last 3 years, we've been using @Remake Learning, which is specifically a network here in Pittsburgh. And so as we're transitioning to a more national platform, we've also then created new social media handles across all the platforms. So that audience is growing, and we have a lot of ads running in the background to grow that audience, and it's been great to see the growth in the last 2 weeks. So I'm going to pause for a second. Catherine, thank you so much. Any questions? I've been monitoring the chat board. I haven't seen any questions yet, but just wanted to take a moment and check in. Oh, great. Well, Catherine, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. As you guys know, Catherine is available to you. You're welcome to email her, especially as days start to begin. We start to reshare a lot of things that are happening at specific events in each region. And then also, we're here to help answer questions. I'm here, Dory is here. We appreciate your time again today. And please check the Google Drive folder. And if I already have one person who said, could you please put a black and white version of the logo in the folder, which I will be doing by end of today. Great, thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, thank you, everyone.